Alright, so this video is going to be me doing TA on this one specific altcoin. I think I'm going to try out doing videos like this where I, maybe make shorter videos and just focus on doing TA for one asset, whether it be an altcoin or whether it be, some Forex pair or whatever. Because one, it may be better for the viewer if someone wants TA for a certain asset. They don't have to go through a 20-minute video of me doing TA on like 4 or 5 different assets to find it. It will just be its own separate video. So it could be better for the viewer, could also be better for my algorithm, putting out more videos. So I'm trying it out. It could be a mutually beneficial thing, but we'll see. Anyways, this video is going to be me doing TA on WLD. This is a coin that I've been trading a little bit recently, and it's just some random altcoin that I found because I was looking for assets with high volume on MEXC. I would just go here and yeah, you can see even now it's got 81 million volume. So that is pretty high even compared to other things. Like if you look at Ethereum, I mean that's 400 million. So, a little bit less than a quarter of Ethereum's volume. That's a lot of volume for an altcoin. So I'm going to try and do an in-depth but still quick analysis of this, starting on the higher time frames and working my way down. So here on the daily, the first thing to point out is that recently this asset did get a daily bullish break in structure. We had this daily lower high, put in a lower low, and then broke structure. Pretty clean break. The wick was pretty large, but the close above the break and structure line was pretty decent. So it wasn't a great break, I would say, just because there was this massive wick, a lot of selling like right before we close this candle. But I wouldn't say it's a terrible break. And from there, we slowly worked our way back up to this high, attempting to put in a higher high in the daily. And what has happened? Well, at first, we got a bunch of wicks. So when it just wicks the break of structure line, it is not a break, it is an SFP. And the way that I look for a break after we get a wick like that is I look at the wick now as the break and structure line. So, we got the new break of structure line. Again, we wick that. So I'll now look at this wick. And right here, we do technically get a close. We technically break structure again, meaning that this down here is a confirmed daily higher low. But I would say this is looking like a pretty weak break so far. Maybe even say very weak. Just considering the wicks that we got at first, and then the fact that we were barely able to close above one of those wicks, it is not looking like a good break, I have to say. So I'm definitely seeing signs of this daily uptrend weakening, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but we have broken structure bearishly on some of the lower time frames, which is also not a good sign after getting a very weak break like this. And daily market cipher is printing a red dot on the momentum wave. We still do not have any money flow on the daily time frame here, so can't look at that, but the momentum wave on the daily is topping out. So now let's go down to the 4-hour. So 4-hour structure is a little different. Because we did take out the high and then get a retracement first. Whether you're taking 4-hour structure from this low or any low down here, it still ends up the same. You can take it from this low because that's probably more valid structure, but it still ends up with the same point anyway. So on the 4-hour, I'd say this is one straight move up and then one straight move down. And doing it like this makes it a little easier too, because you're skipping all of this nonsense. So from that low, you come up to touch the high again. It was an SFP, so not a confirmed break. But we did eventually get a move up to close above this wick. It was a very weak break, and then from there, we got a bunch of wicks again, really. So not a strong break on the 4-hour either. And yeah, from there, we have this 4-hour higher low before the higher high. So 4-hour market structure point is right here. And we still haven't broken a bearish, but I'd say it is looking weak so far just off of the SFP and then the very weak break, followed by all of these wicks that we got up here. Not really getting a solid close above any of the wicks yet. So structure also on the 4-hour is showing weakness, but the money flow on market cipher is not really showing any weakness, maybe momentum is. Momentum has gotten a pretty sharp turn to the downside. The VWAP right now is putting in lower lows, so it's not really looking like this momentum wants to turn around anytime soon. Maybe it can, but it seems like it's going to take a little while. But money flow still did technically put in a higher high right here. It's still very thick in the green, probably thicker than it's ever been, really, at least on this chart. I wouldn't say this money flow being, pretty bullish necessarily throws a wrench in the idea of things starting to look bearish, but it is something to consider. So now let's head down to a lower time frame. I'll look at the 1 hour. So, just off the bat, money flow on the 1 hour is definitely showing weakness. So that is something very different from the 4 hour. The money flow actually looks really weak on the 1. And even on the 2, it's taking a sharp turn here. This could still turn around. It looks like this 2 hour momentum wave might want to bottom soon, but I don't know how confident I am in that. It looks like the VWAP, since it is curving outwards, looks like it's kind of flattening out around the 0 line. Looks like the VWAP may take another turn to the downside, and if that happens, then the momentum wave probably will as well. And this is probably the sharpest turn down in money flow that we've seen. I mean, this one kind of looks similar, but right now the money flow is lower than it was back here. Right back here, it turned around sooner. This dotted line is actually where money flow is at right now. So on the midterm time frames, I'd say money flow is starting to look more bearish for sure. And on the 1 hour, we do also have a difference in market structure. So on the 4 hour, we just went from this high to the 4 hour higher low and then straight up to the high. This was not visible on the 4 hour, but it is on the 1 hour. So we have a higher high here, followed by a retracement. I'd call that good enough for a swing in structure. And we have broken that bearishly. Now, we didn't actually break it bearishly until right here, because at first we SFP'd it. It was a wick. Now that wick is the break of structure line, and we closed below it with this candle. We actually closed that candle right here, so it was a solid break. So this is the first signs of market structure beginning to flip bearish after getting a pretty weak break on the daily uptrend, after not really seeing a convincing sign that the daily uptrend wants to continue after taking out the high. We now have a 1 hour market structure break bearish. And even though we didn't get the break until recently with that candle that I just pointed out, I would still look at structure of the downtrend on the 1 hour. Technically, we did put in a lower low here, even though it wasn't a break, so I still count it as structure. So structure on the 1 hour looks like this, where we have a lower high now before this lower low. And that's what this trade setup is actually. It's looking for a move back into supply before a continuation of this 1 hour downtrend, with my invalidation being above this point. Now, I don't know if I'm going to take this trade. It depends on what I see as we get a move in here, but that is just my general idea right now. And the reason I'm not putting my invalidation above this high right now is because this is a 4 hour market structure point, right? On the 4 hour, none of this market structure in this area happened. It is just from the higher low to the higher high, and we still haven't broken structure bearish on the 4 hour. Till we close down below this low, then we haven't broken 4 hour structure, so why would I follow 4 hour structure if I'm looking for shorts? I should go with the structure that is actually bearish, and for that reason, since the 4 hour did not break bearish yet, I would consider this more of a scalp trade. It's not exactly a swing, because I would want to see the 4 hour market structure break for a swing trade. So I'm not saying this is the most confident trade setup, but it's just what I'm looking at the moment. So now let's think about what are the possible scenarios here. Well, I'd say, let's go with a bullish scenario first. Bullish scenario is that we eventually flip this 1 hour structure back to bullish. Maybe we, get a rejection from this area. Maybe that trade setup plays out. We come down to touch the low again. Maybe we even do something like this where we put in another lower high, making a lower high that's closer to price, meaning we can get a bullish break. And maybe we never actually take out the 4 hour higher low, right? Maybe we just flip structure back to bullish, eventually make our way back up to these highs, and then get a confident daily close above the higher high now. Maybe we eventually do kind of get a strong break on the daily and begin, or I guess continue retracing on this massive move to the downside. It looks like there is probably like a weekly fair value gap still above us. Not really, because this wick is here. But, this is just basically straight down, so who's to say we can't go straight back up again? So that would be the absolute bullish scenario, is just this 4-hour structure maintains itself, and eventually we get a convincing close on the daily. And obviously, the bearish scenario would be us losing the 4-hour higher low and breaking structure bearishly. At that point, I would really consider the poor break on the daily that we've gotten more of an SFP. And I mean, at that point, I could be targeting the low of this daily market structure, the last market structure point on the daily. And I have to say, just kind of a gut feeling, it seems like downside is more probable. Also, I guess there's more than just my gut. There's a lot of things backing that up. We've gotten a very, not aggressive, but a drawn out move to the upside without any liquidity sweeps, really. It's just been higher lows and higher highs on this internal uptrend. So I think there's lots of liquidity below us, lots of reason to, come down to grab that liquidity. We got a very poor break on the daily, and even on the 4-hour, it was a very poor break. So the uptrend is not looking like it wants to maintain itself. So that is ultimately why I am more interested in shorts right now than longs. I'm not really stoked on long ideas for this, unless we see something, really clear, which, I guess the most probable long would probably be us SFPing this 4-hour higher low, maybe getting a move into this potentially demand zone. It's not the best, I have to say, even on the lower time frames. This was one retracement down before getting a move up. I took it up to this high right here. It's not like a clear order block, though, on any time frames that I'm seeing. So that's the only reason that I'm not 100% stoked on it. It seems like since we got this retracement, it kind of took a while to get that aggressive move up. So it's not looking the cleanest, but it could still work. So maybe we SFP the 4-hour higher low, get a wick into that demand, reclaim that level without closing, and then eventually come up to break that 1-hour structure. That could be a long idea, and I mean, if we get a good entry, maybe a retest into demand with a bullish break as well, then, at that point, I would probably start considering longs, but until I see something that clear-cut, I'm not really interested. So that is pretty much my general plans and analysis of this. I didn't really go too in-depth with specific trade ideas because really the only one I have at the moment is this one, and even this isn't really a refined idea. I probably would refine this more, like maybe I would look for a market structure break internally as we get a move into here, like on a low time frame, see this uptrend break bearish after getting a move into that supply. Maybe then I could refine my entry, maybe just put my invalidation above the supply or a little bit above this high, something like that. But that's just a general idea right now. I'll have to see what price action does. And, beyond that, my general ideas for more swing, like I said, is wait for this guy to break and then look for refined entries from there. So that's going to be it for this one. If I do come up with some more refined ideas that I feel like sharing, then I will make another video on this. And I plan to make a lot more videos like this, just going over, TA for one specific asset. So, if you have a asset that you want me to do TA on, leave it in the comments. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, and I'll see you all in the next video.